Hi there, thank you for joining in. This is going to be a floor-based practice. So this could be, used as a practice. This could also be used as an instructional video just to kind of give you some ideas of how you might wind down a day. If you had one of those days where you're just like, oof, it's been a lot, I haven't moved my body much, my body feels really stiff and tight, but I have zero energy for anything. These can be some great shapes. So I've got 2 blocks, a blanket and a bolster. I expect that a lot of you don't have these props in your home. To be fair, I don't always have them in my home either. So that being said, you can be really creative. Couch throw pillows that are really firm make great blocks, especially for a more restorative practice. Big, thick blankets that you can roll up, similar to like you're rolling like a little burrito. These can make really great makeshift bolsters. So all you really need is extra blankets and pillows, and these can come right off of your bed if like that's what you're working with. Like grab your comforter, grab your pillow, we can make it work. So that being said, the first shape that we'll find is called supported fish. Another quick note, a lot of these when I am at home in my own space, I will literally do these in bed, and I will use pillows and extra blankets. So truly, I mean that genuinely. You don't need props. You can make your own. So for the purpose of today, I will show you with a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, you're gonna make your own bolster out of a blanket roll. It's gonna be a little torpedo. You would probably, I suggest, have another pillow or another blanket handy for your head if you want it. And then 2 pillows or something that's got a little bit more firmness that you might want to use for your legs. So have your stuff. If you need to push pause and grab it, do that. Otherwise, I'm gonna jump right in. So for supported fish, you're gonna come onto your seat. Bring your sacrum right up against the base of your bolster or your pillow, your support, whatever you've got. Keep your knees bent to start, I would suggest, and then start to lay yourself down over the top. So a lot of options here depending on your first reaction and how this feels in your body. If this feels pretty okay, then you can stretch your legs out long and just kind of hang here. Palms will come down along your side, face up, and that's it. Like that's where you're at. If you're like too much, then you can grab a pillow or a blanket and let it come underneath your head so that your head actually lifts up a little. That can feel a lot more supportive, and you can take that any degree. Like if you wanted to come up even higher, you could find a way to get your head up higher. So make it work for you, and then let yourself feel supported. The last thing that you can do, also if it is a lot on your low back, then keep your knees bent. That will help. The last thing you can do is turn this into a pretty intense hip opener as well. So you'll find that shape by bringing the soles of your feet together and let your knees open like a book. Because this is a restorative pose, or we're trying to work towards a restorative pose, I personally don't love when my legs are just hanging. So that's where the extra blocks or the extra pillows will come. You'll just slide them underneath your legs. This is a feel thing, truly. So some people like them a little bit lower, some people like them a little bit higher, so they're like more under your knees. Some people, me being one of them, I like them kind of under like the backs of my thighs, a little higher up. So my knees are still not supported, but the base of my thigh is, and I just personally like that better. But it's a feel thing. So feel around and find what works for you. If something doesn't feel right, like don't force yourself to stay in it. And then after that, when you feel like you've gotten adjusted, let yourself fully come into the shape. The best way to have your hands is palm face up, just so that allows your shoulders to stay open. That being said, for a moment, I'm gonna ask you to bring your hands to your belly. You can choose to have both hands on your belly. If you would rather, you can do one hand to heart, one hand to belly. And why we're doing this, why our hands are low, is to work to feel breath. So as you inhale, think about breathing into your hands or the hand that's on your low belly. versus filling up high through your chest and neck and shoulders. Think about pushing your inhales down. And let your exhales be even longer than your inhales. So take a couple breaths with you. Slow in through the nose, fill up into your low belly. Really long exhale out of your mouth or nose, up to you. Again, inhale for 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stay with that if it works for you. If it's too long, shorten it. Go to 3 or 4. If it's not long enough, extend it out. 5 count inhale and 5 count exhale is called coherent breathing. And if it's truly 5 seconds, a 5-second inhale and a 5-second exhale, it's considered to be the most perfect breath. Okay, so it's not something I do regularly or, we can hold on to on a daily, all the time, regular basis. But in these moments where you're really dropping into some of these restorative, restful shapes, it's a great opportunity to practice. If you want to keep your hands on your belly as you're doing this work, that's great. And if you'd rather return them to your side at any point, you're always welcome to. You can push pause at any time and stay in the shape for as long as you want, especially if you're doing this in bed. Really, I encourage you to stay for upwards of 5, maybe even 10 minutes, if you've got the time. For the sake of instruction for this video, I'm going to move us, but again, feel free and please know that you're encouraged to stay here as long as you can. That being said, when you're ready to come out, start to bend your knees back towards each other. If you have them in the hip opener, move the blocks. And then otherwise, just get your knees back up towards you. I find it easier to just roll onto one side. So let a forearm rest, let a palm rest, and just push your weight over. You can come all the way up onto your knees. Take the block or whatever, not block, the pillow, the blanket, whatever you've got out of the way, and just give yourself some space. So we're gonna move now into a pose that's really great for your low back. Called supported bridge. I was thinking about something else, but we're gonna go to supported bridge. So that being said, same as before, you can use any or all of the above. I personally, if I've got a bolster or a rolled up pillow or a rolled up blanket or a really firm pillow, I like that best for this type of a practice because it's more support, like cushy and comfortable and supportive. If I'm doing a more active practice, I like a little bit more firm support like the block. So pick what you want. And then you're gonna rest or the best way to come onto it is to, if you're using a big pillow, let your hips rest. And then you're just gonna fall back over the top of it. You kind of gotta wiggle yourself out a little bit. You want the support underneath your sacrum. So a big support, you're gonna feel it kind of move, different parts of your back or your hips, that's okay. You're looking to feel a release in your low back. So if you don't feel that release, I would suggest moving your support a little bit further towards your feet to try to let your low back hang off the edge of it. And then when you get to this sweet spot, the Goldilocks zone, palms release down along your sides, palms face up. Feet can do several different things. So I'll give you a bunch of options. Explore them and stay with what works best for you. First option is to just stay like this, supported bridge. There you go, you don't have to do anything else. Second option is to take your feet out really wide and bring your knees towards each other for what's called broken bridge. This would be a supported broken bridge. The benefit of this shape is that it works into the internal rotation of your hips. So not a lot of yoga poses really get at internal hip rotation. This is one that actually does. So this can be a nice shape, a helpful shape. If it doesn't work for you, no worries. If you want to go more intense with it, then you want to take your feet out as wide as possible. Less intense, you'll bring your feet close together. So as always, when it comes to yoga, you are in control, you are in charge, and you totally get to make the calls. The other option is to start to extend your legs straight. So I would suggest doing 1 foot at a time. Let your leg go long, heel rest. If that feels all right, and by all right, I mean if it doesn't pinch into your low back too much, you can try extending the other leg straight to go both legs. If you do both legs and you're like, too much pinch on my spine, then go back to one leg and just switch from side to side after, I'd say 5 to 10 breaths on each side, and then you just switch. I'm gonna personally extend both legs out long and let my heels rest. But that's it. That's the shape. Those are the options. If you know of other options or something else intuitively is calling for you, by all means, please do that and listen to that. One of the most important benefits of yoga, at least for me personally in my own life, is really that awareness around what my body is telling me. Our bodies are so wise, and they contain a lot of wisdom that comes in the form of different types of intuition. And so through a regular yoga practice, you can really learn on a deeper level how to tune into that. And then the work is to listen to what your body's asking for, and just allow that to be okay. As always, with any of these longer, more restorative shapes, whether you're doing them on the floor, in bed, or wherever, there's always an opportunity to go back to breath. Every inhale connects to your sympathetic nervous system or your fight or flight response. Every exhale connects to your parasympathetic nervous system or your rest and restore response. So in a nutshell, anytime you're breathing out longer than you're breathing in, you're going to calm your nervous system. So if you've had a long day or you're just in a high stress state, no matter what time of day it is, really breathing out longer than you breathe in can really help slow all of that down. So this is another place where I would encourage you to pause the video and stay as long as you want, as long as you like, as long as it works for you. For the sake of instruction and to move to the next available option, I'm going to move us, but again, stay as long as you can. When you're ready to move, if you're ready to move, you'll bend your knees if they're not already there. Bring them back towards each other, hips width distance. Push your heels into the ground. I like to use my elbows, especially after a longer hold. I find it really hard to lift up. So I use my elbows a lot. Push down. Get your hips up just enough to slide the block or whatever it is out of the way. Right? And then come all the way down. It doesn't have to be graceful. Because that is a longer hold, you want to avoid drawing your legs straight in. It's never wise to bend the spine back and forth too quickly, too deeply. So give it a chance to neutralize. You can neutralize with legs bent, you can neutralize with legs straight. You really only need a couple breaths. So it's been long enough. To counter now, you can pull your knees into your chest. Knees can come in, knees can go out wide. It's really about whatever works best for you. Try to keep your head and shoulders grounded though. And then the next shape that we'll come into is a great shape for a central nervous system reset. It's really great for your cardiovascular health just in general. It can be really restorative. I position myself up against a wall. If you are not near a wall or near a couch or a chair, something that you can rest your legs, your shins on, quick pause and go adjust, find that or get what you need. Then when you're ready to continue, what you'll do is come onto your seat and get up really close to the wall. You can use a support under your hips. You also don't have to. For the sake of ease, because these things are really heavy and a lot to move around, I'm gonna actually grab a block. So this would be, if you have blocks, use of a block, a pillow, a firm pillow, whatever you want. But a big, cushy, heavy thing is probably not gonna be as easy to use. So you're gonna slide up to the wall as close as you can get, and then come back down onto your back. Swivel your legs up towards the wall, and this can take a couple of rotations. You know, it doesn't have to be super graceful, but essentially you're gonna wanna end with your legs straight up the wall. The block or the support, if you want it, is gonna go in the same place as it just was for supported bridge. So hips come up, and then block or whatever goes under your sacrum. You might have to adjust your spine to find the sweet spot. You're looking for Goldilocks zone in the sense that you want it to feel comfortable and easy. You want to feel something, but you don't want it to feel too intense. This is called waterfall. And then palms go down along your side, face up if you can. Once again, just to allow your shoulders to stay open, throat and heart to stay open. So there's been a lot of research with or around the benefits of keeping your feet elevated above your heart for at least 5 minutes on a daily basis. And not surprisingly, there is a tremendous amount of cardiovascular benefits. So this is so good for you, even though it doesn't necessarily feel like you're doing a whole lot. As always, come back and focus on breath. So if you're set up near a wall or on or against the wall, you're absolutely perfect. It's worth acknowledging that if you are in front of a couch or a chair, the way that you'll take this shape is very similar but slightly different. You'll have your knees bent and you'll allow your shins to rest on whatever the support is. So if you're using this pose in a knee bent version, I don't necessarily like the block. You might, you can try it, see what works for you. It doesn't work for me. But essentially, I'll have to come out of the wall, but imagine that there's a chair right here and my shins were resting on top of the chair. So if you're not near a wall, you don't have a wall close to you, you can just pull a chair or an ottoman or any type of flat surface that you can rest your shins on. So it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be exact. As always, come back to breath. Lengthen it out, slow it down. As if you could stretch your breath out. And so to find one more shape, I'll move us. But as before, please push pause if you can. Stay longer, stay as long as you want. If you're thinking like, what's a good time reference to stay? Truly restorative postures can be held as long as like 10 minutes each. So I would aim for at least 3 to start if you're brand new. If that feels like too long, try 2. If 3 feels pretty easy and okay, go for 5. And then if 5 feels pretty easy and okay, go for 8. Keep working up. And you can also literally just do one shape for 15 minutes and call it a 15-minute practice. Like, it can really be whatever it needs to be for you. So the last shape I'll show you here is going to be on the belly. I'm going to use bolster again, just because I have it and I like it. I would suggest grabbing a really supportive pillow or block, something that has some firmness to it, so that you have the actual support. This is called half frog. And actually, you might not need as much support now that I'm thinking this through. So I'll show you both ways, with the support or without the support. So first, without the support. Pretty simple. All you're gonna do is come down onto your belly. Forearms can rest right out in front of you. You can make a little shelf and let your forehead come down, or you could just be on your cheek, it doesn't matter. We'll go to the left side first, since that's what you've got the best view of. So all you're gonna do is bring your left knee up towards you. Bring it up as high as you can. Flex your left foot so that it faces towards the opposite side. This is half frog. If this doesn't feel very much, like if you're like, okay, I feel this, but not a whole lot, that's when you're gonna grab support. For the sake of what you can see, I'll show you first with the block. Your support is gonna rest anywhere under your leg that you like. I personally like my knee to be supported, So if I was using a block or a small support, I would put it under my knee. And then that keeps my left hip really open. So my work is to push the hips straight down, right? The left hip is gonna pop up, but you wanna try to keep it pushed down. So you're working external rotation in your hip. If you have a longer support and you want to explore it, the other option, and this is where I'll use the bolster, is to let your entire leg rest on it. So you kind of got to wiggle into it a little bit, but your knee will be up towards the top and your foot will be down at the bottom. And this way your whole leg is up. So realign your hips and shoulders, get them as forward as you can, and then come back down. Once again, forehead can rest. You can go onto your right cheek. Sometimes I like to go to the opposite cheek and get a little bit of a twist in. So that's actually where I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna bring my left cheek down and really twist into the shape. For the sake of hearing my voice clearly, I'll come back and face towards you. But really come into breath. As always, reminder, reminder, reminder. Breath is so important. It really is your superpower. Long breath in. And as you exhale, think about breathing right into the space where you feel this pose the most. You obviously can't really exhale into, let's say, your left hip or your left foot. But if you visualize your breath going to that space, it actually does help it open up a little bit more. So imagine your breath moving where you need it to go, where you want it to go. Like you are in control, you are in charge. So use that control, use that to your advantage, to your benefit. Push pause once more if you want to hang a little bit longer. If you're ready to move, and really I know that wasn't terribly long, I just want to make sure the instruction is clear and the instruction doesn't take too long. So when you're ready to shift, just roll yourself out of the shape, come onto your belly, bring your hands here for a little pillow right in front of you. Take your knees side to side, or your feet rather side to side, and kind of just release the low back. And then finally move to the second side, and that's where we'll end today, or this will be our last pose. So I'm gonna just go right for the bolster, but kind of adjust yourself if you need to move around and get any props handy. You know, practicing with props is so great. If I'm being honest, I sometimes get frustrated with having to move them around, but the benefits of having them is worth it. So even if you're like, this is annoying, that's okay. Breathe into it, acknowledge it, let it be, just go with it. So find your second side. Come back down onto your belly, bring your right knee up towards you. You can do this with or without a support. I'm gonna use the bolster. You might have to realign. I put it where I thought I needed it, and it is not where I thought I needed it. So I'm gonna try it again and come back into it. Let your hips face straight down as much as you can, and then come to rest. Chin can stay up, forehead can stay, gaze can go right. For the cervical twist in your neck, gaze can go left. So right cheek will come to the ground if you want that little last twist. Right foot can stay flexed and active for a little bit more engagement. It can also relax and go soft. If you feel a lot of intensity in your knee, then keep your foot flexed. That'll help just sort of loosen that up. Not necessarily loosen that up, but it'll protect your knee joint, and it should feel a little bit better. Continue to work on lengthening out your breath. Stretch it out long, slow, as much as you can. 5, count in. 5, count out. Adjust that number up or down as you might need. Last time to pause. If you want to stay here longer, please, please, please do so. If and when you're ready to come out the same way as the other side in really whatever way works best for you. Spend some time kind of windshield wipering out your legs. If you're in bed and you're headed to sleep, just literally make yourself comfortable and settle right in. If you're not in bed, if this isn't bedtime, it's always worth a little bit of time in Shavasana. So come all the way back onto your back. You can use anything here for support. Something that can feel nice in Shavasana for support. A lot of people really like this. You grab 2 blankets, 2 pillows, anything that you can use, and you slide them underneath your kneecaps so that your knees are bent, but they're supported. And so that kind of takes some pressure off of your spine. Then arms will come down along your sides. I don't like to touch anything in Shavasana, so I'm gonna move everything out of the way. It's just my preference, might not be yours. And as you come into your final resting shape, let your breath deepen. Return to an extended exhale pattern of breathing as much as you can. I'll give us about 2 minutes here without my voice, without any talking, just to really fully embrace Shavasana. If you are in bed and headed that way, I would just turn this off and go right to sleep. For those of you not ready to go to bed, I'll call us out of rest in just a couple minutes. Start to deepen your breath. bring in movement. Might be a full body stretch that feels needed for me in this moment, but really tap into what your own body needs. Start to move anything out of the way. Eventually roll over onto your side. Just take a brief little pause. Always worth a reflection here in fetal pose. It's an opportunity here to set a new intention, perhaps for the rest of your evening or day, or maybe the next day if you're doing this really late. When you feel ready, start to shift all the way up and onto your seat. To close, bring your hands together at your heart center, international symbol of gratitude. Thank you so much for joining. I hope this was helpful and hope to see you back here soon.